GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning. The province's election kicks off today while La Salle College suspends classes amid creditor protection, and police have shut down a Griffintown drug lab. Traffic's moderate with a few delays. Stay tuned for the latest. Over to you, Ryan.
Our GMNA gift shop is so tiny, you could finish a coffee and browse 2 mugs in under 5 minutes.
It's officially open now, run on quick e-com, and while we only have 2 mug designs, more are on the way.
You can grab a mug at shop.gmna.ca, and we'll pretend it's a boutique treasure trove.
All right, let's get into it, starting with La Salle College suspending classes, and what that means for students this morning. Here are our top stories. La Salle College in Montreal has entered creditor protection, halting all classes as a dispute with the Quebec government escalates. The suspension leaves students uncertain about their education. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Classes have been abruptly stopped at La Salle College after the institution filed for creditor protection on August 26, 2026. Campus halls that usually echo with lecture chatter now sit silent, while students gather outside administration doors, uncertain about their next steps. The college's filing triggers an immediate suspension of all instructional activities, leaving thousands of enrolled learners without a schedule. Officials say the move stems from a legal dispute with the Quebec government over funding and regulatory issues. Both the college and provincial authorities have yet to outline a timeline for resuming classes, and students are waiting for further guidance. Many are checking their email and campus portals for any updates from the administration. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, La Salle.
Police in Griffintown dismantled an illegal drug laboratory inside a condominium this morning, taking 2 suspects into custody. Officers seized a range of chemicals, equipment, and processed substances before arresting a 35-year-old man and a 33-year-old woman believed to be the operation's operators. The building was cleared and residents were temporarily relocated while forensic teams processed the scene. The raid, carried out by the Service de Police de la Ville de Montreal, concluded without injuries and the suspects remain in detention pending charges. Police Chief Jean-Pierre Leduc said the operation underscores the seriousness of the hidden drug trade. Detectives said the lab had been producing synthetic narcotics for distribution across the island. The seizure marks another step in the city's ongoing campaign to crack down on clandestine drug manufacturing. Authorities will continue to investigate any connections to larger networks and have not released further details at this time.
Maxime Laporte, longtime head of the Société Saint-Jean-Baptiste de Montreal, announced today that he will seek the Parti Québécois nomination in the L'Assomption riding. Laporte, who guided the cultural organization through recent celebrations, said his decision reflects a desire to bring the province's nationalist tradition into the legislative arena. The PQ, still rebuilding after recent setbacks, is naming a new candidate for L'Assomption as it prepares for the provincial elections slated for next year. Former Premier François Legault, who stepped down earlier this year, has not commented publicly on the development. Political observers note that Laporte's entry could reshape the contest in the traditionally swing district. L'Assomption lies north of the island, encompassing suburban neighborhoods and agricultural areas. Voters in L'Assomption will receive the official candidacy filing in the coming weeks, ahead of the campaign launch.
Premier announced today that a provincial election will be held after meeting with Lieutenant Governor Christine Fréchette. Quebec voters head to the polls later this morning. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
The Lieutenant Governor, Christine Fréchette, met with the Premier this morning in Quebec City, formally sealing the call for a provincial election to be held today. Under Quebec's constitution, the Premier must present a request to the Lieutenant Governor before an election can be called, and the ceremony took place amid a flurry of activity at the government's historic Parliament building. Officials confirmed that polling stations will open across the province later this afternoon, with voters expected to line up at schools, community centers, and municipal halls. Campaign teams have already rushed to mobilize volunteers, while parties continue to broadcast their final messages on television and radio. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada took to the podium yesterday to press the provincial government for the reinstatement of the Montreal Reflex, a program she described as essential for the city's safety and resilience. In a formal presentation of electoral demands, the mayor outlined the specific measures she believes the Quebec government should restore, citing recent challenges that have strained municipal services. Officials from the provincial cabinet were present as she detailed how the Reflex, originally designed to coordinate emergency response across boroughs, could improve coordination with the SDM and regional agencies. The mayor emphasized that the city's residents depend on swift, unified action during crises and urged the Premier's office to act without delay. Provincial spokespeople acknowledged receipt of the demands and said they will review the proposal in upcoming consultations. Later we'll hear how 2 Air Canada staff were detained in an RCMP drug raid at the airport, plus more. We will be right back.
Thinking about selling online, most people give up long before they ever get a store open. Quickie.com changes that. Pick a template, add your products, and you are open for business. $10 a month, that is the whole price, no setup fees, and no cut of your sales. And there is the 10 on 10 guarantee. If you are not live in 10 minutes, your first month is on us. Mugs, apparel, crafts, coffee, if you can photograph it, you can sell it. Visit quickiecom.com and open your store today. 10 minutes from now, you could be in business. I'm Tessa from GMNA Studios.
Welcome back. Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrested 2 Air Canada employees on Saturday after executing coordinated search warrants across the Dorval Airport complex and surrounding neighborhoods. Officers entered the workers' 2 residences, seized a vehicle, and swept the airline's Dorval maintenance base as part of a broader drug investigation. The raids were carried out on August 26 in the Greater Montreal area and mark the latest development in an ongoing RCMP probe that targets illicit trafficking linked to airport personnel. Police have not released details about the substances involved or any additional suspects. The detained staff remain in custody while investigators continue to assess the scope of the case. The 2 homes searched were located in the Dorval suburb, and the seized vehicle is being examined for evidence. No charges have been filed yet, but the arrests underscore law enforcement's focus on security vulnerabilities within the aviation sector.
Quebec Solidaire proposes the provincial government fund school supplies, from duotangs to crayons, today to reduce parents' mental load. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Quebec Solidaire is putting forward a plan that would have the provincial government buy core school supplies, items like duotangs, crayons, notebooks, and glue sticks, directly for families. Under the proposal, the ministry would negotiate bulk purchases and distribute the materials to households at the start of each school term, removing the need for parents to shop for individual items. Party leaders say the move is aimed at easing the mental load that comes with budgeting for back-to-school costs, especially for low-income households. The initiative forms part of a broader effort by the left-leaning party to address education expenses and support families across the province. The proposal is expected to be debated in the upcoming legislative session. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Yesterday, the federal parliament saw a senior New Democratic Party member step down after 15 years in the House of Commons. Alexander Boulris announced his resignation, citing a decision to pursue a provincial candidacy in the upcoming Quebec election. The longtime MP left the NDP caucus earlier this year, sitting as an independent before making his intentions public. Boulris's departure marks the end of a 15-year parliamentary career that began with his first election win in the early 2010s. Political observers note that his move adds a high-profile name to the slate of candidates contesting the provincial ballot, potentially reshaping the party's dynamics in Quebec. The former MP will now focus on campaigning in his home province, while the federal riding prepares for a by-election to fill the vacant seat.
Yesterday, former Quebec Liberal leader Pablo Rodriguez told reporters that 2 investigations into an alleged vote-buying scheme during his leadership campaign concluded with no evidence implicating him. The inquiries, launched after accusations that his campaign offered cash or favors for votes, examined financial records and testimony from party insiders. Rodriguez, who stepped down as party head 6 months after being elected, said the investigations reviewed all relevant transactions and testimonies and found no proof of wrongdoing, clearing his name and allowing the party to focus on rebuilding. He did not comment on any ongoing legal processes, noting only that the probes were thorough and independent. The Liberal Party has not announced further action, but the statements come as the organization prepares for the upcoming provincial election cycle. The party will now turn its attention to preparing for the election.
Télé Quebec will add its fall lineup to rival streaming services Crave, Illico Plus and 2 TV Extra across Quebec beginning September 7, 2026. Denis Larivière has the full story.
The province's public broadcaster is moving its upcoming fall schedule onto 3 rival subscription services. Starting on September 7, 2026, Télé Quebec titles will be streamed through Crave, Illico Plus, and the new 2 TV Extra platform. Viewers in Quebec will find the same dramas, documentaries, and children's series they'd normally catch on the network now available alongside the streaming giant's own libraries. The rollout means that households with existing subscriptions can add the public broadcaster's slate without a separate TV license. It also gives Crave, Illico Plus, and 2 TV Extra fresh local content to bolster their lineups as the streaming market heats up this fall. That's the latest on the expansion of public service television into the streaming arena. Denis Larivière, GMNA News, Montreal.
Let's get a look at your morning forecast with our weather team.
South-southwest jet stream slicing the upper troposphere, while pressure eases lower, sets up a quiet, warming day. On this date, the all-time high reached 28.1 Celsius in 2024, a brief spike during an early summer heat burst that broke a long-standing record. The record low of 8.5 Celsius fell in 2020, when an Arctic dip pushed a cold front unusually far south, leaving the city shivering for a few days. Normal highs hover around 25 Celsius and lows near 15, so today's temperatures sit comfortably between the historic extremes. The live radar screen is completely clear across southern Quebec, showing no precipitation cells in the vicinity. A dry, stable air mass dominates, reinforced by the gentle pressure drop and the southwest jet that is steering any remaining moisture eastward out of the basin. With the jet aloft moving at roughly 64 kilometers per hour, any stray showers would be swept past the island within the next few hours, leaving the city dry through the afternoon. Turning now to today's outlook. At 7 a.m., the sky is clear, and the thermometer reads 16 Celsius, with humidity perched at 90% and a light southerly breeze of 11 kilometers per hour. Near-average pressure is beginning to ease lower, signaling a gradual shift toward more unsettled conditions later in the week, while the southwest jet stream overhead injects modest upper-level lift but remains too weak to generate rain today. The day will warm steadily, reaching a high of 27 Celsius under mostly overcast skies, then dip to a low of 16 Celsius after sunset. UV index sits at 5 and wind will remain gentle, maxing out around 10 kilometers per hour from the south. No weather alerts are active. With the sky remaining dry, we now look ahead to the 5-day pattern. Tomorrow the overcast layer persists, holding temperatures near 26 Celsius with a low of 16, as the jet continues to graze the region. Friday clears dramatically, allowing daytime highs of 21 Celsius and a crisp low of 14, a welcome break before the weekend. Saturday remains sunny with a comfortable high of 23 and low of 15, but Sunday introduces a light rain chance of 30%, nudging the high to 23 and the low to 18. Monday returns to overcast conditions, topping out at 25 and dropping to 18 at night. The sequence showcases a modest temperature swing and a brief wet spell, underscoring the transitional nature of late August in Montreal. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's moderate today. The Chamber spotlight shines on good food and will preview X-Vision's 1 and the hockey leaders. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Morning commuters, the biggest slowdown is in Tunnel Viger between Rue Panet and Boulevard Robert Bourassa. Expect a crawl adding 10 to 15 minutes. Next, Tunnel Ville Marie from Boulevard Robert Bourassa to St. Laurent faces a major hindrance, slowing traffic. On Autoroute des Curies, the stretch between Rue Sherbrooke and the tunnel entrance has a major hindrance, adding to congestion. The Turcotte interchange sees two issues: a major bottleneck for southbound A15 traffic and a minor slowdown for Avenue Giroud access. Autoroute Ville Marie exit 5 for Rue Mansfield remains a minor hindrance, while Sherbrooke Street access on Autoroute 15 is also mildly affected. In transit, the Green Line is out of service between Barry-Ucam and Papineau due to a signal failure, so riders must use alternatives or the bus bridge. The Orange Line has minor delays at Lionel Graux, and the Blue Line runs reduced frequency at Jean Talon. That's the picture for this morning's commute.
First up, the MUTEK series opens at the Maison Symphonique, Place des Arts, with X/Visions 1 starring Collie Malone and Cara Liss Coverdale. The electronic neoclassical concert runs this morning, giving commuters a bold, immersive soundtrack before they head out. Tomorrow, the city's secret diner En Blanc gathers participants in white for an elegant mass picnic at an undisclosed Montreal location. It's a chance to mingle with friends, enjoy your own food and wine, and be part of a city-wide visual spectacle. And on Saturday, the Festival des Arts de Ruelle lights up alleys across Montreal with music, dance, theater, and street performances. Free and spontaneous, it invites you to explore hidden corners and soak up the summer's creative energy. Tomorrow night, X/Visions 2 returns to the Maison Symphonique with Tristan Parrish, James McVinney and Voices from the Lake, extending MUTEK experiment. If today's set sparked curiosity, the concert deepens the electronic experimental dialogue, perfect for a night fix. And now here's Tyler with sports.
Canadiens country, the buzz around this team is real and building fast. Cole Caulfield has outscored every player in the NHL over the past 2 seasons, every single one. That is not a conversation about potential anymore. That is elite production at the highest level. As the Canadiens approach training camp, their core piece is playing like a genuine franchise scorer. The rest of the league has noticed. The Canadiens' depth chart on the blue line just got more interesting. 20-year-old right-shot defenseman Bryce Pickford put up 45 goals and 83 points in 55 games for Medicine Hat last season, numbers that made him the only defenseman in the CHL top 10 for goals. That kind of offensive ceiling from the back end is exactly what contenders are built on. Training camp is still ahead, but the position battles are already real. 5 Canadians are identified as players with something to prove when camp opens, and the fight for that 6th blue line spot is growing more competitive every season. Alex Newhook is also motivated, looking to build on what he showed in the playoffs. Watch that defense competition closely. Training camp can't get here soon enough. This team is worth watching.
Thanks, Tyler. Good food, based in the heart of the plateau, has become a familiar name on Montreal kitchen tables, delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and recipes that let busy families cook together. Today the company announced it has entered creditor protection after a tough fiscal year, and its chief executive, Selim Bassel, stepped down after less than 6 months at the helm. The move reflects broader pressures on food tech startups, but also underscores the resilience of the local supply chain that still sources produce from nearby farms. For many Montrealers, good food was the first step toward cooking at home after a long day, and its story reminds us that even pioneering ideas need community support to thrive. Next, the mayor outlines housing, transit, and safety priorities for the government, and Schwartz's Deli Drop Soda. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada laid out Montreal's top priorities, housing and homelessness, transit infrastructure and public safety, to the incoming Quebec administration ahead of the upcoming provincial election. Jesse Cartier has the full story.
Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada used a briefing on 26 August to lay out Montreal's 3 headline priorities for the incoming provincial administration. She called homelessness and affordable housing the first pillar, urging the next government to boost shelter capacity and fast-track new construction. The second focus centered on infrastructure and mobility, with a push for expanded transit routes, upgraded road networks, and greener commuter options. Public safety rounded out the agenda, with calls for additional police resources and community-based prevention programs. The mayor stressed that shaping these policies now is critical ahead of the provincial election campaign, which kicks off on 27 August. She appealed directly to the new Quebec leadership to embed the city's needs in upcoming legislation. Jesse Cartier, GMNA News, Montreal.
Schwartz's Deli in Montreal has discontinued Cott's Black Cherry Soda, replacing it with a locally produced cola after new U.S. tariffs made the imported drink unavailable. Denny's La Riviere has the full story.
At Schwartz's Deli, the iconic smoked meat spot in Montreal's Plateau, the familiar clink of Cott's Black Cherry Soda cans has vanished. The restaurant says it pulled the beverage from its taps after a fresh wave of U.S. import duties made the Canadian bottled soda unavailable. In its place, staff have rolled out a locally brewed cola, a substitute the kitchen hopes will fill the gap for regulars who have long paired a fizzy black cherry drink with their brisket-laden plates. The change reflects the ripple effect of the latest tariff regime, which has forced several North American food service operators to rethink imported ingredients. The deli remains open for its classic sandwiches, now with a different fizz on the side. Denny's La Riviere, GMNA News, Plateau.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us this evening. Tonight's coverage of the Griffintown Drug Lab bust reminded us how vital community safety is. We appreciate your trust in the local Sunrise, and we'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Stay safe and see you then.